Hey guys, got a little job today going to Greensboro to somewhere in Tennessee. It's like fucking going across 40, I believe. I think I did this back during like Christmas time. Drive my car to Greensboro. So I need to stop and close my trunk up, to be honest. That's what I need to do, but I'm alright. I want to talk for a moment about the next wave, response to the next wave, response to the next wave. I guess I'll just say what comes next, you know. I've spoken about how, for me personally, I thought coronavirus would be worse, and you know that's true. Like I'm not bullshitting. I really did think that this thing would be worse. There's a book I mentioned called The Cobra Event, and I was reading about the federal stockpile and you know the history of it. I was just curious one night, and I learned that Clinton, I guess I didn't know he liked to read science fiction. He had read a book called The Cobra Event. And he questioned some people about, hey, could this happen? And based on that conversation, the facts he received, he began a process to start the federal stockpile. It was for the people. And I think that, I guess I kind of prepared for something like that, some kind of strange and novel disease. As a survivalist, you plan for things. It's kind of a hobby. Survivalism is kind of a hobby until you need it. Some hobbies aren't all about making jewelry. Hobbies aren't all about, I ain't wearing my chain. Hobbies ain't all about wearing jewelry and things like that. Hobbies are about, you know, having fun, learning things, you know, and one day you might need that information. Excuse me. So, Cobra Event, you know, is a disease that makes people violent. It has an effect on behavior. Coronavirus doesn't do that. But, you know, I guess smallpox, things of that nature, terrorist attacks, that was a concern of mine. Yeah. If we were to go back in time, I think I would tell you, yeah, that's a possible. I think that would be quite possible. Well, I never planned for no nuclear weapons. I never planned for no kind of nothing like that. I will tell you something that I looked at more recently, I guess, and that is the possibility of EMP strikes and the possibility of a nationwide blackout or wide swaths of the country having blackouts for months on end. Yeah, that's what I worry about. That's what I worry about. You know, no, I take it back. EMPs, that's another one. Yeah, EMP, nuclear weapons, that's something I've never sat down for any concerted period of time and actually been like, well, this might happen now. America might do something, but no. It worries me that so much of the world now is militarizing, and I fear that post-pandemic, there may be some type of a get back. There may be some type of, you know, what's it called, events. You know, I was thinking about something. There's a movie with Morgan Freeman called Deep Impact. And I guess I can say I watch disaster movies. I will say that, yeah, that's one thing I used to do. I watch disaster movies. I have Deep Impact at home, actually. Deep Impact is about an asteroid that hits America, the Earth, and a scientist detects it ahead of time, and while rushing to alert the people, he dies. He gets hit by a truck, and the government finds out about it like really late, and reporter from MSNBC thinks that it's some kind of a top secret. Someone's having sex with their child or something, some kind of sex scandal, and it turns out, no, it's just code word. And she figures it out, and Morgan Freeman's like, look, I can kill you, but instead I'll use you to expose the information, because he recognized it's a matter of time. Once one figures it out, the rest are. Also, when you start committing acts of violence and killing people, it can leave a trail. It can leave a trail. You don't want to do that. Also, I think they were trying to make a movie about a black president, but a black president that still values the Constitution and civil liberties. This is pre 9/11, so they were kind of like showing you something. They were kind of putting out an agenda there. You know, hey, we got a black guy, but he's not trying to like socialism and Obamacare. You know, I think it was good movie, great movie. Morgan Freeman played a hell of a president. Now, 7, when they had R. Lee Ermey as president, or was he police chief? One of the two. Woo! I would be scared. I would be terrified. That motherfucker would be like, grab him by the throat. God damn it. He'd be like, go out there, hey, shake up your suspects. I want you to shake them upside down, see what fall out their pockets, throw some money at them. Goddamn. But Morgan Freeman played a hell of a president. And it's interesting to me, compared to Trump, looking back at, you know, those kind of movies, how much of a failure Trump really is as a president. You know, I'm not an orator, but there's a guy, he's like a socialist guy, like kind of like Sam Cedar, and he talked about how, hey, you know, I will always seek better outcomes. You know, I know people are gonna be mad at him. They'll be mad at me, is what he said. But he does not believe if you had a Democrat as president that this many people would have died. I agree. I think that Trump's response to coronavirus has been a massive failure. A massive failure. And this should not have happened. You know, and it's going to be worse. You know? And I was watching MSNBC this morning when I got up, and they were talking about that, how, no. Sam Cedar was talking about how, watching the reruns of his stuff, yeah. How they should be looking at this thing spreading outside. I don't think it can spread outside. I try to stay outside as much as possible, let the air blow. That's been my policy. I mean, I got my mask. It goes everywhere with me. I got a belt pouch that I just put on my backpack because it's too bulky to carry on my stuff. I'm too lazy. Like I was carrying my mask on me for like the first couple of weeks, and then I'm like, God damn, it's like being pregnant. It's like, yeah, like I'm carrying a baby. I'm like, fuck this. I just put it on one of the straps in my backpack. I might start carrying it on me again. Kind of embarrassed by that. No, I'm embarrassed that, you know, I should be carrying it. It's like my pistol. I should have it on me. You know, that's been my policy. The wind blowing across me, as much airflow as possible, and not recirculation. I was in the truck with a dude at DHL, and I had my window open the whole time. And he was in the truck, and he was sleeping and shit. And I just fucking went out, got outside. I was walking around the truck. Any excuse to just not share space with another person. I am uniquely suited for this epidemic. Like, if we had a nuclear war and nuclear bombs dropped, you wouldn't want to be alone because you need people, and you'd be aware of certain things. You need people. You know, I think that's the whole idea of preppers that just plan for nuclear war and just plan for like terrorism and plan for violence, revolutionary war. I think all that's based upon this white supremacist idea that we can change the world. Like we can get America back in our image. You understand? Like we can use a crisis and take over because we're prepared. You like that? Yeah, we can use this crisis to change America, you know, because the Caucasians are always trying to prove something. Always. But, you know, I left my gloves at home, didn't I? Yeah. Damn, I sure did. Left my gloves at home. I got my Oakleys. I got them. Yeah, but I think the Caucasian always has something to prove. I got my wipes. Yeah, my wipes. Yeah. Always got something to prove. Because, you know, that's the whole mindset of that. You see? They've always got something to prove. All the time. You know, this idea of going in the bunker and the earth will be made anew, the world will be made anew, and they'll just pop back up. Like, I've never thought that. Like, to me, as I get older, the idea of nuclear weapons is psychotic. Like, I look at the Cold War, Khrushchev and Kennedy, and it's like, to me, that whole thing was a thing of madness, because one small mistake and a lot of people will die. And you talk about communism and all that. What's communism? What does a communist look like? You know, the Vietnamese, those people have families just like I do, but they love and care about them just like I do. Why am I going to war with them? You know? We got gays and we got blacks in the military now. It's just, to me, it's the same thing. Working class people fighting other working class people to keep the capitalist system running smoothly. You know, going out and achieving all their foreign policy goals. And then I was watching on Contact yesterday. I was watching my blender. They were talking about it. Yeah, I made a little juice. Made some juice yesterday. I was listening to them. I need to catch back up with them. On Contact with Chris Hedges. And he had a guy on there. It was like a 20-minute clip. And he was talking about, you know, what PTSD does, and this idea of moral injury and the drinking, loss of intimacy with your loved one and all that stuff, and how it changes people. And I respect that. I mean, he didn't really get into the political part of it as much as it was just, you know, you're doing things and it changes you. You know, even if and Chris went to war and was a photographer, a press, and he was changed by it. You know, he wasn't a combatant, but it still changed him. But I honestly feel as though Trump's gonna let this thing run wild. I said this back in March that I believe the decision has already been made to just let herd immunity take place. A lot of people are gonna die, and I just think Trump is okay with it. Like, I don't think Trump cares. I don't think he cares about working class. I don't think it matters. I think that coronavirus shows you the plight of working class, and it also shows you all the people that deny climate change. It's the same thing with this. You can't see coronavirus. There's a lot of people out here who don't have it, who don't know anybody that's got it, and who won't be affected by it. But their businesses will be affected by the loss of, you know, tourism, the loss of business. Same thing with climate change. I spoke on this before, back last year sometime, that with climate change, I'm noticing you have businesses that kind of acknowledge it quietly. Like, they acknowledge that things are changing, but they don't use that word. Like, I'm a temp. You know, I'm a temp. So when you do temp work, you see a whole lot of industries, and you meet a whole lot of people, and you do a lot of things. You go to a lot of places. You know, like, I went to a port that the port mandated you had to have a mask. You couldn't even walk around outside the truck without a mask on. You know, wind was blowing and stuff. Still couldn't have, you know. So yeah, they kind of acknowledge these things. Some businesses do. But what I said back, what I said last year, and I stand by this. You're gonna have businesses that deal with the oceans, the businesses that deal, people who work outside, play outside, they'll acknowledge it. But corporations and companies that aren't affected by outside conditions, they won't acknowledge it. That's what you can see. Conservatives are only going to acknowledge it when it affects them. Like Sam Cedar had made it. He was on how gay marriage. He was like, conservatives don't see gay marriage, and they think it's like all this socialist stuff until their cousin comes out, or until their brother says, "I want to be a woman." Then, okay, let's get gay marriage passed. But until then, they don't see it. They don't acknowledge it. Why would they? Turn some heat on here, y'all. They won't acknowledge it. And why would they? I just realized that's what conservatism's all about. It's about creating a system without any kind of community backbone, commercializing everything, putting a price on everything, devaluing everything. And I don't, this is what I should have started with and finished with. I think that coronavirus is not a one in a million thing. I think that this is a new era. And I think that coronavirus is not Obama leaving the cupboards bare. I want to be clear on that. Coronavirus is a result of decades of defunding the CDC, defunding social safety nets. Because, like a gentleman put it to me, if you've got half of the country, or more than half the country, that couldn't catch a $400 bill, then you didn't have a booming economy. You didn't. That proves that right there, that you didn't have a booming economy. If that's the case, you were basically like a drunk driver. You know what I mean? Even if a drunk driver doesn't hit anybody, he still drove drunk, right? But one day, eventually, unfortunately, he probably will hit somebody. Might not be now, might not be 2 minutes from now, or 5 or 10, but he'll hit somebody. And when he does, it'll be catastrophic. And that's America. A drunk driver at the wheel. Unfeeling, unthoughtful for the other people around him on the road, other road users and other people in his vehicle. He doesn't care. That's America. I think that America has lost prestige. I think America, and I look at the bright side of this. I spoke about it before, how to me you would, these gloves, man, damn. I'm sorry. I spoke about it before, how you would have a time where America's allies wouldn't follow us. They wouldn't follow America. And my friend Denzel didn't believe me, and I stand by that. I stand on that statement. I think that we're coming upon a time where America's gonna go to war, and the rest of the world is gonna stand back and watch. To me, that's to be celebrated, guys. I mean, I know that sounds bad to say that, but it's not bad, because I realize that, like Michael Brooks put it, we're not a part of this anymore. The anti-war movement proves that. They're going to do what they want to do. Texas and all these states making it a felony to protest people who protest the oil pipeline, any kind of fossil fuel stuff. Like, this is it. What to me, what it shows you is things are getting desperate in America. They've been getting desperate to where now we're not even going to play with you. That if you get in the way of fossil fuels, if you get in the way of industries, we're going to lock you up and we're going to give you a serious record. That's what that is. We don't care about science. We never did. And if you get in the way of our business, you're going to have a problem. All that kind of, to me, makes a statement alone by itself. What am I going to say? I just feel as though we've been going down a path of destruction for a while. I just hope the rest of the world doesn't. Don't follow America. Don't follow us. Don't do it. We're going down a road to ruin. And I've been saying it for a while two things: the empire's got to collapse, and something's got to be done about these white supremacist terrorists. And I know people around me say we shouldn't do anything, nothing should be done because that's gonna be what they want. Be made martyrs. I get that, and that makes sense, and I agree. But what gets me is in the beginning they were saying, conservatives, this is a big city thing. People in the big city will get sick. Who cares about big city people? New York, and guys were talking about how, California. I heard people, conservatives are saying that they hope a lot of California people die so they take the state back. I mean, I heard all that kind of sick, wicked shit. These are devils. Excuse me. And I heard them saying all kind of wicked shit like that. And now California, Washington, they're doing pretty good. They're handling it, but they're not following this like America. They're doing this as other countries are doing. And I think that's the solution. America is collapsing. America's a failed state and it's collapsing, and you're watching it collapse. This isn't the end times. This is the end times for the empire. This is the end times for the American empire, and it's losing face. It's losing respect on the world stage, which is what had to happen. It had to be taken down. Basically, America has become the wrong kind of power for the wrong kind of reasons, and we're all just passengers. I mean, I said it to the dude I was working with at DHL that if we hadn't have gotten this coronavirus, we would have been at war with Iran anyway. I know it sounds bad. My aunt got sick with this. I know it sounds bad. My heart goes out to people that are getting sick, that are going to get sick, older people that are going to die from this. But if we didn't have this happen, this suspension of normal society, we'd be at war right now. And the other countries would have to decide whether they want to jump in the boat with us or get on the sidelines. Or they want to get in on the play or get on the sidelines. I'm not sure the Europeans wouldn't have helped in some way, in some fashion. I'm not sure about that. I mean, I remember they had a British general who was like, no, Iran hasn't done anything wrong. And the Americans were like, you need to check again. You need to go look again. And I know that when they made those attacks in Iran, the British stood down, the Germans stood down. I think NATO had some kind of celebration going on, 50 years or something, and Spain took one of their ships out. Now, that's not a warship. That was like a celebratory, ceremonial thing. Still, it sends a strong message. We ain't with this. Like, hey, man, I'm not down with this bullshit he's doing. So, I'd like to say that means America would have been alone, but I'm just not sure. I'm not. I wouldn't bet on it. I wouldn't bet you a dime that nobody else in NATO could be ginned up to run up in there and drop bombs or help in some type of ancillary way, some type of support way, maybe doctors or nurses or supplies, or just like I don't think America. I think America lost respect in Iraq, Basra, and all that. Like I look at Americans and there isn't really this outpouring of frustration about the Iraq War, but when it comes to the British, like they really are and remain angry at Tony Blair for getting their soldiers put in danger. Basra was a mess, and that's why I follow so much European news and stuff. It's just that I've been realizing that for a while, that I live in America, I live in a white supremacist system, but you just can't trust anything they say anymore. It's all war. It's all propaganda. And it's all in the lens of white supremacy being superior, and everybody else needs to submit. If they don't submit, they can die. And people and Americans are like, yeah, rape them, take their oil. I just realized that now. Like, there's nobody in America that's like, yo, like, what are we doing? Why are we at war with these people? Like, why aren't we doing this? Like, that's all America does. We're just worrying, threatening people. Before Trump even came in office. Well, since he's been in office, from the very beginning. Threats, So, coronavirus to me is kind of a global reset, if you will. That's why I don't look at this as a failed time, because sometimes God will stop you from things. Sometimes God will keep you from going places. You don't know why. Sometimes God will keep people out of your life, and you don't know till later. It wasn't good for you. They wasn't good for you. Being around them wasn't beneficial. You don't know that then, and you're frustrated. I wanted to have sex with a prostitute, and I didn't know she was a prostitute. And somebody on my stepmom's side, I think, got sick or something, and I had to go to the hospital that night with them, and I was gonna fuck a prostitute. It was Rabina, Glennis's sister, I think, from Belize. I'm still a prostitute, I think. Yep, I was gonna fuck a prostitute. Thank God it stopped me. Some God, the little ways of stopping you, putting a block in your path. You don't understand till later how it was good for you, how you learned something, how it protected you. To me, that's what coronavirus was. I hope the left can use this to put forward the notion that they don't care about us. Peace.